Hello, thank you and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we're going to do something a bit different. It has to do with, it will be a weather app, and this weather app will look just like what is on the screen now. So what it does is that you just type in the name of a city, for instance, and search. It's going to display the city name, the country code. It's going to display the temperature and then humidity of the city that you search for. On top of it here, obviously we got the date of the day. So this is a very simple weather app that is built using Django Framework. And to do this, we need obviously the Django, you need to install Django. I got the documentation here. So there is a very simple instruction on how to begin. And then I'm going to use a PPEM, which is a visual environment which you use to kind of separate your projects on a workstation in order that they do not kind of interact or corrupt each other. Then probably the most important thing here would be I'm going to use OpenWeather API. You could use something different. And so from here, I'm using the free version. So you could use the same. Obviously, you are not going to have the same features as someone who is using the paid one, but this one is good enough for the little project that we intend to build. So you can just create an account on this website, or you could use a different API if you wish. But this is what I'm going to use, and I wanted to also specify that as I'm using this preparing environment, you could use something else. It doesn't have to be this, but I just prefer using this. So let's get started. Hello, we're going to start now. To do this, I've already created this folder. So I'm going to start my project in this folder. Let me say it's empty. To do the first thing we need to do is to install the virtual environment, which I explained earlier. So you go there and copy this and install. I believe I already have that. So let me just check. Let's see. Let me uh, let me try this. I believe I already have this. Taking some time to do it, but I know it will eventually get there. Okay, let's see. Okay, this usually it's hard to say how long it takes. It might take like a couple of seconds. Sometimes it takes a minute. So the best thing to do is just to have some patience and let it do its job. Successfully installed. Okay, that's good. The next thing I intend to do now is, first of all, let me check. You might want to check that you have Python installed. If you don't have it installed, then you might want to install it. So I have Python installed. Another thing before I continue, let me go into the virtual environment. In order to do that, you need to issue this command, shell new shell activated. Okay, there was already a shell. There's one is was already active. So, but it's better to check to make sure that's the case. So now, because one thing interesting about this PPENV is that physically you cannot tell if you are inside, if it's the environment is active or not. Unlike other kinds of virtual environments, which they can Somehow you can tell if they are active or if they are not, but let's just proceed. So the next thing we need to do now is to install Django. Maybe, let's see, open, install, install Django. So let's have Django installed. This one as well probably takes a couple of, might take a minute or so to get completed. Installing dependencies. Okay, that's completed. And the next thing we need to do now, first of all, let me check the folder is inside here. So that's what I should have. So the next thing we do now is to start the project. So to do that, let's go Django admin start project, start project. So we give the project a name. Let's call it web app. We call it web app. Let's see. It's okay. That's it. The web app is created. The web app is created. Uh, you know what? I'm just thinking. Let me do something. Let me, because I want this app to be just as simple as possible. So I'm going to do something now. So let me do this again. So after the web app, let me use dot. There is a dot after the web app. Okay. So what happens now is that after the folder, we have the web app. There is no sub directories. So just to make it simple, if this were like a big application, then we could just create the project without the dots in order to have the other subfolders, but we don't need subfolders. So this needs to be as simple as possible. So now that we did this, I'm going to go into the web app, go into settings. This is very important, otherwise this is not going to work. So when you go into the settings, under installed apps, we have to add the name of our app. So it's web app, it's weather app, sorry, weather. It's weather app. Okay, we save it. And once it's saved, we can now probably try to run our project. So we could just, let's try Python, uh, manage the py, run server. So let's see what our project is going to look like. So when you run it the first time, you get this error. So 18 on apply migrations. So again, for the simple project we are building, you could just ignore this. If it were a big project that we needed the model of the application, here is the model that, oh, so no, not that. Anyway, if we needed the model, then we could do something with this, but because we don't need the model, so we don't care about that. So let me just copy this. Now let's test our application. Successful. So the creation of the project is successful. We are now going to proceed and create our views and other things. Okay. So to proceed, the first thing we need to do, let's go into our application folder. We go in there and let's create a new file. This new file, let's call it views.py. So here we are going to create our views. And before we do that, let's first of all import some important modules that we're going to use. You can go import Django.shortcuts. Uh, oh, wait, this is here we have from. Okay, so now you have import. Here we need a render, which we will use to render our page. We also need from datetime, import datetime. We need, we probably need from, okay, maybe let's do this here. It should be, I don't know if we still need this. Maybe there are a couple of things I wanted to import, but maybe we wait until if we need, then we import. Import requests. Let's see, I hope this one should be enough. So now let's start and create our view. So here is where we are going to declare what should happen on the front end of our application. So what you do now, let's define home page. Home, you could call it something else, but I prefer to call it home because it makes more sense. So we go home, request. So if request, now we are checking if the user pressed the button on our form. If request is post, then we are going to extract city. Oh, city request dot post. I prefer to use this in uppercase. What? My keyboard is a bit, let me see. Request dot post dot get. So we're going to get the city. So the next thing we need to do now is we're going to set our API key and the API URL. So where do you get this from? I'm going to show you shortly. So before I do that, let me first of all, API key and API URL. Here we should have that. Oh. So that's what we should have. So let's go back to the OpenWeather website. So the what you do to get the link, when you log into your account, you go to API, then you will find these three hyperlinks here. You see, just click each of them. You are going to see what they've got to offer. For instance, here you've got this link. Here it has this latitude, longitude, part, API key. Then you scroll down. Oh, by the way, all of these, like all of these parts that, all of these things that you can see here, the longitude, latitude, everything, here is the explanations here. You see? So after that, there is this one below. There are so many of them, and here you get also more description of how to use them, how to utilize them in your HTML. Then let's go back. Then if you click another one, for instance, you're going to see something similar. So it's all about you looking up to see what you need. It's all of you just check it and see which one that has offers what you need. So you copy the one you like, for instance, You copy the one you have. In my own case, I've chosen the one I wanted to use. So let me just quickly copy what I want to use. So I copy and paste it. Let me copy and paste it here. So that's what I intend to use in my own case. So here I have city. I want to extract the city, then the API key. So now the API key, this variable here is the same as this. So what happens is that it takes what we have in this API key and inserts it here. And then the city, which we got from here. So where is the API key? Once you log into your API account, into the OpenWeatherMap account, you go under your account name, you click on API keys, you are going to see API keys here. Normally, by default, it comes with one API key. So if you want, you can then generate more. So in this case, let me use this one. I've got two here. So I'm going to copy this and paste it there. I paste it there. So that's what I need. So just make sure that you have your API key here, and then this API key variable here, make sure that you have it inside here. But if you use a different, something different, for instance, as I showed earlier, when you go here, you check all these things. So if you use this one, for instance, as you can see, there is time, there is long, there is longitude, latitude, and stuff. So you are going to work with them based on all of those. So let's go back to our project. So now we are going to see how we are going how to extract the information we got from here. So the next thing we need to do now is let's check our response. Oh, oh, let's see if so. Let's check response. Response request requests with the S dot get. So we are going to extract our URL API here. Remember, we get all this information on this link. We assign it into the API URL. Then we are getting it here and assigning it into response. So now we are going to check if it is successful, if we are able to fetch something. So if response, the status, status, status code, if the status code is 200, which means it is successful, what we do, we are going to get, let's say whether if we're going to get the JSON file of this. Response, JSON. We construct it into JSON file if it's successful, otherwise, else. Oh, else whether info, whether info none. Another thing that we need to create is local time, or maybe let's not create that yet. So now we are checking whether we get the weather info or not. So if we don't get weather info, then and the next thing else, else. I'm trying to see if we can get the time. Maybe let's get the time here. So let's say current time, or let me use the variable today. Uh, Today, date time dot now. So remember to import date time at the top of the file. So once you have it there, we are going to return, let's return render. My keyboard is a bit faster today. Render request. Oh, no, that one is not necessary. Request. So here we can say weather, which is a folder. Then let's call our home page HTML, HTML, and HTML. So we call our context. So here we should have weather info, weather info, weather info, weather info, weather info. So that's what we should have there. So now this is what we need for our our home page. So the next thing we need to do is to define the URLs. So you go here because we are not going to use the admin page. So you could either comment this out or delete it. It doesn't matter. But we are going to specify what we need. So what we need here is, let's go path. We have path. So because it's going to be home page, so this is going to be empty, and then we define views, views.homepage, name, home. We call it home. We've got this quickly line here. So we need to import from that, import views. So we are importing these views we have here. So once we import it, that's what we've got. So now the next thing we need to do, we are going to create this folder. Where is it? In our view, we've got this folder in our view, weather folder. So we can copy that. We go into our app. We create a folder and call it, let's call it weather. So inside that, inside this weather, we create a new file. We call it home.html. Yeah. So this is where we are going to write our home page. So we are going to do that now. Hi. So now, in order to start our home page, I'm going to make use of Bootstrap. So you probably want to use it too. In that case, you go to getbootstrap.com and then getting started. You're going to see different templates here, right? So you just check them and see what is applicable in your own case. I'm going to choose one of them. I already have something prepared that I'm going to use. So I'm going to copy and paste it in my home page. And here is my home page. I've copied the template that I'm going to use. So in that case, I have all these links that is going to make it work properly. So once you have these links, and this is necessary because I'm using a form here. So this is something that prevents attack on my application in case of those who will kind of keep on posting something on your form, even though they don't have any need to do that. So it's important to have this, otherwise the form won't work. And so what I'm trying to do here, I'm checking if the weather info is if I'm able to get something from the web, the open weather app or weather API. So if I'm getting something from the API, so remember this is the variable we use in here in the view. So weather info, which we have in our context, that's exactly what I'm using here. So we are checking if it's valid. If it is valid, and then we are going to display the information here in this header, in this card header. And remember, if you are using this, it's important to close it off here. Otherwise, you are going to get an error. And so what we need to do now, let's just try something out. So let's try maybe temperature. Let's try with temperature, for instance. And let's say weather info, weather info, well, what else? Weather info dot main dot temp for temperature. So we could try something else. For instance, we could say, let's say humidity. So in that case, we have weather info dot main dot humidity. Right. So that's what we are going to have. So let me save this and let's try it out. So let's try this now. Let's go to one, two, yeah, let's go there. Oh, template does not exist. Why is that? Let's see. Okay, so we're going to fix this now. Right. We are going to fix the template does not exist. So what we need to do, we're going to change something a bit here. So let's go inside our weather app. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, let's go into the weather app. Remember, not this folder. No, this folder is the same as where is our view? This weather. Oh, by the way, let me see. I call this weather app and not weather. Okay, let me just change this to weather instead. Let's see. Weather. You know what? Let's why not? I'm just thinking maybe. You know what? Let me just leave it to be weather. Let's leave it that way to be weather as this one. And what we could do, this is might not be necessary, but let me just try. Let me just do something. Let's go. I don't know if it is necessary, but let's just create a new folder here, and we call it templates, and then let's copy this folder into templates. Let's copy this folder. So we have our weather app, which is our main app. Then we have templates, weather. Let's see, weather. That's what it's called, weather, because it's the same as that. Then inside weather we have this. So now let's try our application again. So let's try again, and that's it. So now let's try London, for instance. We have the temperature, we have humidity. Let's try Prague. We have humidity, we have temperature. So that's it. So remaining now is the date. We need to make our date appear on the top here. So let's do that. So we are back to our views.py, and as you can see, we've got our date here. Remember, it is important to import this, and then I indent everything to look the way it looks here. So we need to add this today. We need to add it in our context, just the way we added weather info. So let me just copy this, and we come back here and we update today, and today. So just take a look at what we've got here, the way it is indented and the way everything fits together. So it's saved now. What's that? Breakpoint. Okay, doesn't matter. So it's saved now. So let's try our application again. Oh, before we test the application, we actually need uh, to kind of apply the context that we just created, which is today, which is that one. We need to make it appear on our homepage, obviously. So what I'll do, let me use this, and then let's say today date is. Let's just have something like this. So let's call that. Let's call it here, and date by and month day. Oh, wait, here. I believe it's year and day. So now let's test the application for the last time, I hope. Okay, so let's try again. Let's try a different city. Let's say Paris, for instance. Oh, that's it. Temperature, humidity, and then the date. So I think this looks similar, exactly the same as what I showed you during the introduction. And so uh, that's it with our project. And I hope you enjoyed this little project. I enjoyed doing it because it's quite small and straight to the point. So we didn't need to program a lot because we got all the information we needed here, right? Using our API. So that's it. Thank you for watching and subscribe to my channel. See you. Bye.